Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's event, A Journey Toward Healing After Gender-Based Violence, with reading by Michelle Horton and performance by the Move Beyond Storytellers from Gibney Dance. We are so happy to be here together with you tonight at the Stavros Niarchos Foundation Library. My name is Jackie Trailis, and I'm a member of the programs team here at SNFL. Before we start, I would like to thank the Stavros Niarchos Foundation for making programs like this evening's possible. I would also like to thank Gibney Dance for their supportive collaboration and inspiring creativity in conceiving this evening's presentation. We are especially grateful to Amy Miller, Creative Director of Learning and Leadership, Bree Jackson, Community Action Coordinator, and Yasmin Uzmer-Zafon, Senior Director of Community Action, for their incredible work. I would also like to remind you that if you don't already have a library card, it is easy to get one by visiting any information desk in this building. So update yours, get one, be great. Finally, I would like to encourage you to visit NYPL's website and take a look at upcoming 7 Stories Up programs like this one. We would love to have you back in this space again. And now let me introduce our reader, our first reader, and also our performers who will follow the reading. Michelle Horton is a writer and advocate living in New York's Hudson Valley with her son, nephew, and niece. Through the Nicole Ademando Community Defense Committee, she continues to speak out for her sister and the countless other victims of domestic violence criminalized for their acts of survival. Michelle will read a passage from her book, Dear Sister, a memoir of secrets, survival, and unbreakable bonds, followed by a performance from the Move Beyond Storytellers who are here with us tonight. Momo Quo, Carmen Guzman Lombard, Maria Meneses, Morena Moore, and Irena Rochford. Welcome, Michelle. Folks, sorry, Michelle is joining us virtually. So please draw your attention to the screens.
Thank you. This is called Wolves. They won't believe you. This was the warning from my sister's attorneys who were making a case for a guilty plea. Despite the evidence of abuse, they knew the odds were stacked against her. This was the promise from an ambitious prosecutor threatening to confirm that no one, including a jury, would believe her. They were the words Chris had said, swearing that it would be his word against hers. And it was, even in death. As we waited for the trial to begin, I obsessed over how many times Nikki had been told her story didn't matter. The truth didn't matter. A string of they won't believe yous leading all the way back to that 5-year-old girl who'd been abused by our neighbor, Butch. I couldn't get him out of my mind. Nikki had been younger than Ben when she went on that sleepover. I now had a front row seat to how these traumatic events were shaping his little life. And unlike Nikki, whose experience was never validated or acknowledged, we did everything we could to do the opposite with Ben and Faye. I figured that if there was any silver lining, and some days I wasn't sure that there actually was one, it was that Ben and Faye's trauma could be held in the light where it had a better chance of being processed, maybe even healed. Nikki never stood a chance. So many days my mind would pull me back in time and I'd wonder, how much had Butch changed the course of Nikki's life? What did the other untraveled paths look like? How much pain and suffering could have been prevented if only Nikki had got the help she needed as a kid? Better yet, if Butch had never violated her in the first place. One day, during our pre-trial preparation at Dad's dining room table, a question rose insistently to the surface, the kind of question that I would normally have suppressed to avoid making Nikki uncomfortable. But this time I spoke out loud. Hey, Nick, I asked from my chair across the table. She looked up, probably expecting me to ask another question about a search history or some detail from a report. I almost bailed. It would have been so easy to keep not asking. Something I think about a lot is how you didn't feel safe to tell Mom or Dad that Butch had hurt you, I said, rushing ahead before I could retreat. I have a hard time wrapping my head around it, knowing how the kids run to me the minute they scrape a knee or feel something weird going on in their bodies. Like, the instinct is to go to your parents for comfort, right? Butch must have scared you so much to not tell Mom what happened, to believe that you had to keep that secret. It's statistically very likely for child victims of sexual abuse to hide it, out of confusion, and shame and fear. But I guess I was hoping Nikki had a straightforward reason for why she never went to Mom for help. Maybe I should know in order to prevent the same thing from happening to Noah or Ben or Faye. Nikki looked confused. But Michelle, I did tell her. She said it as if she had told me 100 times before, as if this were a well-known piece of the story that I should know. My jaw fell open. What do you mean? Nikki put down the phone in her hand and straightened herself up. It's one of the clearest memories I have from that time, she began. I don't really remember a lot of talks that Mom and I had, but I remember this one very, very clearly. We were walking in the backyard back from the swing set. Do you remember the swing set? Of course I did. It was where I had broken my elbow in first grade. Most of my memories from that time are fuzzy, but I can still put myself right back on the ground under the swing set, looking out at my sister's toddler-sized feet running toward the house to get help. Nikki described how she walked with Mom along the row of lilac bushes, past the above-ground pool, then a big tall tree in the middle of the yard to which our dog's lead was attached. I could imagine her small sneakers walking next to my mom's, the two of them hand in hand. I remember the smell of lilac, the peeling paint on the garage to the left. I don't remember exactly what I said, only that it was really hard for me to say whatever it was. But I said something, I'm sure of it, she said in a distant tone, as if she had left her body and was far in the past. I know because afterward she led me to the steps to the back porch, just me and her only response was to tell me the story of the boy who cried wolf. My mouth opened wider. I tried to imagine Faye coming to me with a scary and hard truth that she'd worked up the courage to share and choosing the right response. It wasn't as if Nikki had said that Mom was distracted or emotionally activated. Nikki waited until it was just the two of them, walking in the peaceful backyard in broad daylight. Why would Mom choose that story at that time? Oh, Mom, what did you do? I thought. You were that first voice that disbelieved Nikki. You were the source of this strangling belief that's growing like an uncontrollable weed wrapped around Nikki's freedom and safety. Oh my God, I said, slowly shaking my head. It was darkly ironic, beyond anything I could have scripted. It would almost be comical if it wasn't so utterly tragic. Yep, she basically said to be careful because someday no one would believe me. Then she went into the house and I stayed outside watching a daddy longlegs climb the white lattice along the porch, thinking about what she had said. I think that's one of my deepest memories of Mom giving me life advice. It really stuck with me. I must have thought about that moment 100,000 times from that point on. I have never stopped thinking about it. How much had that story and its message seeped into Nikki's very foundation, affecting the way she saw herself and the world? How did my mom's view, that label of, quote, lies for attention, affect how other people saw Nikki? I wanted to know why my mom told her that story. I wanted her to have a chance to stand up for herself and explain why she responded as she had. I couldn't believe this was an answer I'd never get from her. Yet, when I was quiet and not running through my own inner judgment of all my mom had done right and wrong, I already had my answer. My mom didn't know why she responded that way, why she ignored what was right in front of her. She wasn't conscious of all the ways trauma had rewired her own alarm systems to overlook whatever Nikki had told her, and all the ways society had programmed her to instill that lesson in her baby girl. Stay quiet and don't make accusations because you'll be labeled a liar. I knew in my very bones that the story was told as an act of protection, protecting Nikki from our culture, but also protecting my mom from the truth. What other secrets did my mom keep? Had she ever told her own mom that she was date raped at 14 by her friend's older brother? Or that her boyfriend hit, burned, and choked her? How would my grandma have responded? It was easy to heap all the blame onto my mom. She was retelling one of our culture's most popular teaching stories, likely parroting back the lines that had been fed to her. But what if we all got the story wrong? Maybe the little boy wasn't lying. Maybe he saw the wolves, but they were wearing sheep's clothing. Maybe the little boy got the whole flock killed because he learned that it's not safe to speak out, and so he never asked for help. Maybe, just maybe, it was never a child's job to be responsible to watch for grown, dangerous wolves.
It is easy. I don't fight the darkness. I know that in the cave I find my shadow self. It is easy. I am enough. It is easy to love all of me. In the cave, I'm not afraid. It's where I keep my shadow self. I leave the light willingly and step into darkness because she is part of me. It is easy to stand still with all of me. It is easy to stand still with all of me. It is easy to stand still with all of me. It is easy to stand still with all of me.
The man in the corridor. As I gazed down the corridor, to my surprise, I was watching into the eyes of my abuser. He was surprised that I was no longer afraid of him. I yelled, "Help! Help! Help!" which echoed through the house. A tall, strange man came to my shout. I pointed towards the man in the corridor. "Take him away. Take him away. I need my freedom." Tears flowed down my face with a relief for an end to my dismay. I am happy I am free.
People don't belong to previously drawn boxes. What is home to you? Have you ever been displaced? I used to hide a piece of spare underwear in the bottom of my bag. Knowing I always had it with me made me feel a little safer. I didn't want anyone to find out what I was carrying, so my handbag became a heavy secret. There are many reasons a person might carry such an item with them all day. For me, it was a symptom of living in constant insecurity. My only way to cope was to carry it home with me. And that home was a piece of underwear in a handbag. This habit stayed with me for decades, developing into a form of disaster preparedness. I packed a bug-out bag. I stockpiled dry food, bought flashlights, solar panels, and a hand-crank generator. Even though I still overstock my pantry sometimes, I have slowly learned that I can just walk to the grocery store, a block away, and get what I need when I need it. I have keys to my home now. A home with different rooms, art, books, nice chairs, silky bed sheets, and some plants. I put the solar panel in storage and hung the bug out back on the wall. It's a reminder that while there's always a chance that I need to start from the ground up, I am everything I need. I'm capable of change. We don't have to live in the boxes previously drawn for us.
Woman in the mirror. The woman in the mirror has recaptured herself. She finally sees her inner beauty. She knows her worth. She owns her smile, which is now her everyday duty. The woman in the mirror sees nothing but joy. Oh yes, now she is ready to live. To herself, she says, I love you. And to herself, she now forgives. This woman in the mirror no longer wears that mask to hide that hurt that used to be on her face. Now this woman walks with her head held high. For low self-esteem, there is no space or trace. This woman in the mirror doesn't regret nothing that she had to go through, for it brought her to where she is today. She stands on her own 2 feet. She's taken control over her life. She's no longer any man or woman's prey. When she looks in the mirror, she finally sees strength, endurance, and brilliance. And although she was told, you'll never be nothing, she's here because of her resilience. And because she made it this far, I truly do pray that she definitely sees things clearer. Salute yourselves, my beautiful queens, each and every one of you in this house tonight. For you are, we are, they are that woman in the mirror.
I am a woman who wants to live and dream. Many people say I am not the same. And of course, you can see the transformation. I learned to love my life, my body, my dreams, and even my anger. Life has different stages, and this one for me is the best. I can laugh, sing, dance, and love, and I get better every time. Don't forget to smile when you are happy. Don't forget to dream, and much less, don't forget to love yourself.
Good evening. Is it evening? It's evening. What time is it? So as was introduced, I'm Alison Ross. I'm a Senior Deputy Clinical Director at Sanctuaries for Family, and we've had this relationship with Gibney Dance for over 20 years. And so I am really happy to be here to moderate this session today, this discussion. Very important discussion today. So as the moderator for today's panel, I want to begin by acknowledging the weight and complexity of the topic we are stepping into together. Domestic violence is not only an individual experience, it's a family and community experience. When harm occurs in the home, the ripple effect moves outwards towards parents, siblings, children, extended kins, chosen family, and friends. Families often become the first witness, the first responders, and sometimes the first barriers. Their reactions, whether supportive, conflicted, avoidant, or overwhelmed, shape a survivor's sense of safety and possibility. And those reactions don't happen in a vacuum. They're influenced by culture, trauma history, economic pressure, loyalty, fear, and the stories we as family tell ourselves about what the violence means. Our goal today is not to simplify this dynamic, but to eliminate them. We're here to explore how family makes sense of abuse, how they respond when someone they love is being harmed or causing harm, and what it takes to build responses rooted in accountability, dignity, and safety. I am grateful for our panel. They're bringing their expertise, their lived experience, and courage to this conversation. So with that, I'd like to open this discussion and ask the panel to introduce themselves and share what brought them to this table right now. And we'll start at my left.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Dorena Rochford, and I am definitely a survivor of domestic violence. I can sit here today and definitely say, although some might think that this is really crazy what I'm about to say, but I really don't regret, I no longer regret anything that I went through, because it definitely has brought me to where I am today. And had I not went through the harsh realm of domestic violence, I wouldn't be here to talk about what I went through to get here. But that's another story for another time. I want to just correlate the domestic violence with the peace, the movement. You know, there was a lot of years that had gone by where I didn't have a voice. I was silenced, and I was silenced for a very long time. And I remember going through Sanctuary for Families. We did the counseling, and one day someone asked, "Do you want to join this group?" And we was like, "A group? Dance? What does dance have to do with? What does movement have to do with domestic violence? Like, how could that correlate? How do you even put those two pieces together?" But I want to say that me being able to join Gibney Dance, it has been the most exhilarating, most freeing, most awesome transition from like just being in that relationship to finding a new relationship with movement. Movement allows you to free up yourself. It allows you to move this arm where I couldn't say I'm hurting. This arm says you're free. You know, I'm bound, but this arm says you're no captive. You're not captive anymore. It just brings you into a place where you couldn't possibly think that you can go. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to have gone through Sanctuary and Gibney, and I hope that we've shown you today some of the things that we've been taught by our movement, because I know I'm kind of stumbling a little bit right now, but if I am, I am. If I'm not, I'm not. But it's just sometimes words can't describe what you go through. But I'm just here to say that I'm grateful. I'm grateful for my life. I'm grateful for going through what I've gone through, and I'm grateful to still be here today. And I thank God for every component of Gibney and Sanctuary who has brought us to where we are today. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Momo Kool. I became the client of the Sanctuary for Family in my last year of my grad school program at NYU. I remember the first time I think I was explained about the word domestic violence when I was with a social worker at the Wellness Center of NYU. That was a while ago. And I started to work with Gibney Dance and this group of amazing dancers in 2016, I believe. And I am an artist, and I firmly believe that art making it's a form of bodybuilding. And a lot of time trauma, PTSD, kind of make one start to disassociate from our own body in a way, to disconnect from the body. And I think throughout the years and through movement, I think it really helped me to like come back to a more embodied experience.
So, Michelle, we'll turn to you. Earlier, you read the chapter of your book. Can you walk us through the story and what that chapter wolves mean to you and what it is that you want us to get from it? And we're sorry we're missing you in person.
Yeah. I know. I'm so disappointed, but thank you to the tech team to make this happen. I'm so happy to join you all. So the background is that my sister, Nikki, is someone who I grew up very close to in proximity. I spent a lot of time with her, and I did not know that she had a series of horrific, violent actions done to her until she was arrested because she thwarted a murder-suicide that was about to happen. And she protected her life and the lives of her 2 young kids who I took custody of. And so in one swoop, I was thrown into not only learning the depth of domestic violence and the power and control and the patterns that she had been dealing with, but I was also navigating the court system. And I was watching how the court system, which we all hope is the answer to gender-based violence, right? We hope that like the courts will work and hold abusers accountable, et cetera. But from my experience, what I watched was a court system that replicates the tactics of an abuser, the coercion. I kind of alluded to that in the reading of Wolves, of, coercing her into taking a plea deal, the threats and intimidation from the prosecutors, not to mention what we can imagine goes on in jails and prisons. And it became very clear that not only is the system as it's designed inadequate to fully support and protect victims, but that it's really up to us on the outside in organizations like Sanctuary for Families and groups of people that come together like tonight to step into the space where the system lacks and to be the ones to protect each other. And as for why I chose wolves, to me, I think it's important for us to recognize the societal basis to gender-based violence and how the stories we tell and the misogyny that's embedded in our child stories about children not being believed, about being liars, about women and girls being unreliable narrators to their own lives, how this really seeps into our psyche in ways that allow all of us, whether we, have experienced domestic violence or not, whether we think that we're, above the patriarchy and misogyny around us, that it really is in all of us. And on some level, we all have some kind of responsibility to the cultural allowances that let this continue.
All right. Yeah. Thank you, Michelle. So I'm coming back to the room. You perform, this amazing piece. What message do you want people to take away from the piece that you all perform here tonight?
I think storytelling is a very big component of this group. When we're dancing, we're also kind of speaking in a way with our bodies and with our gestures and with the formation. And I think it's not only a way for us to feel like in the process of healing and sharing and speaking, it also kind of become a form of art therapy. I feel like it's a kind of interaction that goes both ways.
So I would say that I believe that it's a vivid illustration of freedom, empowerment, victory, joy, overcoming, resilience, and just all the happy words that you can possibly think. Because as we were going through our domestic violence, it was all sad and dark and lonely and silent and, everything dreary, just sad and lonely and tired and all the things that you could possibly think of. But when we are up here, it's like, okay, we made it. What tried to kill us didn't kill us, but it only made us stronger. So now we can stand here today and just show the world that we came back, and if God permits it, we'll just keep coming back with each movement, and we'll sway until God says the swaying is done. But it just, for me, for real, it's exhilarating. It's living proof that we survived. We have survived, and we're going to continue to survive and continue to move our bodies until we can't move them anymore. Yeah.
Thank you. As we think about, family dynamics, bringing it back to that, we want to think about a call to action and what would really be helpful to hear and from whom as you're going through these experiences. So, things like sharing with each other, a lot of times there's shame and you're hiding the abuse. Mm-hmm. Remember to put the mic up to my voice. So there's denying, you heard in the reading, the denying or the deflecting when you're hearing these stories or you're seeing it, but still again, you don't want to believe that it's happening. So how can we help families to feel safe enough to share and, know that they're supported? And this could be for any of you. So Michelle, I don't know if you want to start with that, because it's really based on what your reading is also.
Yeah, I mean, it's so complicated and multi-layered because so much of the hiding is a survival strategy. And so much of, as her sister, what I internalized, it was there since I was a child. So, um, I think the most important thing to do when you suspect somebody in your life is struggling or might be unsafe is to avoid the instinct that I may have had, to just like charge in and try and take control and try and get him out of there and try and, lay down the law, tough love kind of thing, because we don't know how dangerous a situation is. I think the lethality of domestic violence is something that is not talked about enough, and that something from the outside might look like it's not as serious as it actually is. And so, what I have learned is that organizations that exist are also here to help friends and family members try and navigate the situation because every single victim is different and they're in a different place. It's really important to meet them where they are and not think you know better, and to find your own support, even just learning about domestic violence and trauma responses and all of these things that we do not have as much intrinsic knowledge about. Taking the time to learn and to continue to show up, even if they're denying it, even if things feel helpless, which they can often do when you have a family member or a friend who's struggling, is to just continue to show up with love and to be that safe place when they're ready to tell you or they're ready to confide in you. And if they don't, like my sister did not confide in me. She had her own surrogate sisterhood that was safety planning. And for her, that was the right choice. And that's not personal against me. That is about our entire lives of everything she learned from our family. Like, as you gleaned from the chapter I read, like, her thinking that she wouldn't be believed, I don't think was like a crazy thing for her to think. I think she did what was right for her and she leaned on the people that she leaned on. And we can't take that personally. We have to like let the victim survivor really lead the way and trust them that they know what is safe and what is not safe.
Thank you.
I would like to say, just going from my experience, I would encourage any woman or man who may be going through their domestic violent relationship or whatever period they're in, for them not to be afraid or not to be ashamed to reveal that they're going through what they're going through. Because for a long time, I was afraid and I was ashamed. I was ashamed because I thought that people would look down on me, and and what also made me not come forward as easily as I probably would have come is that people are so judgmental. People are so, I would say, please don't be judgmental. Like if someone was to come to you with a secret, treasure the secret. Don't put that person down. Don't make that person feel like they're garbage because they came to you and said, listen, I have an issue. Find a way to help that person. Don't push them away. And one more thing I would say, like a lot of people said to me, why did you stay? Why did you stay? How could you stay? I got judged because I stayed. But 6 children, no education, no job. It's a lot of reasons why us women or men have to stay. But I thank God that Sanctuary for Families was there at a point when I needed them the most. And they taught me how to live again. They taught me how to be a mom again. They taught me what I needed to do to pick up my kids and pack up our bags and go. And they taught me how to live again. So yes, don't give up on that person. At least just help them find a way out. Like I was able to find a way out. Thank you, Allison. She was there from the very beginning. I'm just sitting here just thinking about, she was here from the very beginning. It's just, wow, just brought back memories. Go ahead.
I would say the best advice at that time when I was going through things was no advice. I think what I needed and what was most helpful for me was the resources that to let me know that there are resources available to me, that it's on the table, but not having someone telling me what I had to do at that moment, but just letting me know that there are help that I can look for, and there are many other ways to seek help, and then I can slowly trying to figure my way out of there. But I think at that time when people were trying to tell me what to do, tell me I shouldn't be in there, tell me what I did wrong, and none of those things were helpful at all.
Right. More confusing.
It's already confusing, and it just like, yes. I don't know why you're telling me this.
Right.
Well, thank you. Looking at our time, and I know we have, a short amount of time left, I want to start opening it up if you have questions for the panel. But I want to acknowledge that domestic violence is far more common than many people realize. And statistically, it's likely that some of us in this room right now have directly impacted. So to help keep this space emotionally safe for everyone, we ask that your questions be framed in a way that doesn't require you or others to revisit any painful personal details in this moment. And if hearing anything today in this discussion brings something up for you, or if you feel the need to talk more privately, we have trained staff available to connect with you. I will be one of them, by the way.
Providing resources.
With that, I open the space for questions from the audience, for the panel.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you so. Hello. Thank you so much for a wonderful presentation, much needed. I'm just curious. Are you familiar, or do you partner with any international organizations where we're familiar with other countries and how they are handling these type of issues, where the United States stacks up in terms of instances or statistics on domestic violence versus other countries? Is this something that you're involved with at all?
I guess I will. At Sanctuaries for Family, we do have organized, other programs. We have a clinical department, legal, economic empowerment, and we do partner with. We recently had a commission for women where we had panels and talking with people across different countries. So we have the Hague Convention that we do have work with people internationally. So that's something you could definitely check in with Sanctuaries for Family and see if there's any connection you wanted to make there. In terms of Gibney, I don't know if Amy is here and have any answers, but I do know that they had at times gone overseas and done some. I'll call you out, Amy.
Cheers. Thanks, Allison. Hi, everybody. Beautiful, beautiful work today. Thank you all. I'm from Gibney. I get the great honor of working alongside the storytellers, and we have done some work internationally. I think this is an issue across the planet, right? And it's, as we speak about the societal connections to it, I don't have a specific data about how it's different here or other places on me, but I think it's a worthwhile conversation to have, and one of which keeps us all connected to move forward. Yeah, thank you so much.
I was an international student while I was going through my process, and I had to talk to 1 billion different organizations, and I'm from Taiwan, and Taiwan doesn't have its own organization. I feel like at that time, every other country have their own organization that support their own citizen, and I didn't have. So it was the most frustrating things for me. Just feel like already alone, and then because my national identity was so different at that time, and it kind of really put me in the corner until I found Sanctuary for Family.
Thank you for that question.
Can I take this one here?
Any-
I thank the panel for the presentation, especially for the survivors that are ready to share their experience. It's a huge encouragement for the others. What you've done is like asking many women to take the leap. And thanks to the organization that provided the support. I want to make a comment and then ask you a question, the survivors. The comment is that, like the last speaker said, well, I research on domestic violence against women in the academia. That's why I'm here. And it's global. It's everywhere. I'm from Nigeria by birth and lived in Nigeria till recently. The difference in US is that the legal system is functional, though Michelle mentioned something, but I tell you from my research, the legal system is functional here. The women get some redress to an extent, and where there are custody issues, the court considers the woman in many cases. In some parts of Europe, the legal environment is also much, much better than United States, like the Nordic countries, Finland, Sweden, all those ones. But go to the global south, the legal framework is alike because it comes from UN Women, but then the enforcement is not the same. So for the global north, yes, there's some difference. I now ask you, what do you think the society can do? Because initially, when I went into the research, I was attracted to the research because I was an attorney in my country and provided pro bono services for victims of domestic violence at a legal clinic organized by women lawyers, kind of. And most times I had pity for the women, and it seems like it's impossible, like she said, to walk out of the relationship. It's like impossible. Everybody is telling you, what are you doing there? But then it's so difficult. You're attached to your children. You know they might not be better off. And I've listened to so many women, and I understand. So I now decided, what can I contribute? So I took up on the global research. My last paper was comparative analysis of my country, Nigeria, and the United States. How the media, because the media is also very powerful. So the question now, so I don't take so much time, what do you think the society can do to make a difference? Thank you.
Well, I feel that society as a whole can continue to fight the good fight, can continue to advocate, can continue to spread awareness. You know, just do what we're doing and just continue to fight. You know, continue to share the information, and because all information is not good information, but when you get good information, it makes a difference. You know, so just keep on fighting, keep on passing the information, and keep on spreading it. That's what I feel that we can do. It may not ever eliminate the problem, but it will definitely make a difference. Because it made a difference over here. And when I know something, I can pass it along to 10,000 more women. And then those 10,000 more women can pass it on to 20,000 more women. So, you know, it's just about learning it, passing it on, and helping it spread. To spread it. Keep on spreading it.
I believe that each of us has to be a really good role model. We have the awareness, let's model it for children and for everybody else, and I think things will improve that way. once we're more self-aware of like our role in this society.
I'm not sure if you want to answer, Michelle, but I don't want to put you on the spot, really.
She had said survivor, so I didn't want to. But from my experience, I think how we combat the patriarchy, which is really kind of what we're talking about, is through community. And it's through, it's like in our own families, it's in our backyards, it's with our friends. It can feel so helpless to think about like what society can do at large because the barriers are so embedded in our society. But I think there's so much hope and power in what we can do in our own lives and how we show up and how we believe women. And like you were saying, that ripple effect can spread. So that's just what I would say is it's community.
Yeah, no, I think that's exactly right. You continue to hold forums like this, keep educating others and believing. Because, the simplest thing sometimes is not being believed.
Right.
And that could keep it in the secret all the time. And people, next thing you know, your family member dying, you don't know why, because it's a secret and no one is listening. Wow. So believing is a big one. So just
do one more.
One more.
Is somebody in the front?
Someone had one?
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for doing this. I'm glad to be here. My question is, and I think it ties into what has been said and what Michelle has brought up as well. I think that part of the problem is that it's not certain situations are not getting addressed in the courts properly, and I think that it's being dropped off at a level where, because our legal system is supposed to be there to protect victims and survivors, when someone is facing, a court case and has to go there, it sometimes ends and they're not able to appeal because of the weight of the court system and, being able to navigate it. So if there aren't appeals, then we miss a step where we don't have precedent for like the other, for other victims going through the system then. So my question is, are there resources for victims that have gone through court cases where they need to bring an appeal but are in a situation because of economics or whatever they find themselves in, to help people bring an appeal, to bring it to the next level, to correct any injustices that they come across? That's basically my question.
One of my colleagues in here is going to help us answer that question.
Hello, my name is Rachel. I also work at Sanctuary for Families, and I am also a social work student. Dr. Ross was my professor at one point, facilitating our panel here. And I also I work for the Legal Project in our Brooklyn Family Justice Center. And I'm not an attorney, but I am a social worker student, and who's very passionate about this intersection. And something that I have learned from working with the attorneys is, well, there's twofold. One, the time and the bravery it takes to appeal against a judge the work itself is tedious. And also it is basically, for those who are maybe not familiar with legal jargon, it is saying that you do not agree with the judge's decision. And so therefore you want to take it to the judge above them. And that is obviously a very time-consuming task. It's a very needed area of our legal services within Sanctuary. I work for a team of family law attorneys who do family court, integrated domestic violence courts in New York, and then Supreme for divorce matrimonial cases. And this is unfortunately routinely something that we have to turn clients away from because we don't have the manpower to do the work. It is very extensive in case law. and it's not a guarantee fix. But when they do work, when appeals do happen, it is really a way to reform the system and to show precedent that, these dynamics that these survivors experience need to be handled differently. It is not a traditional divorce or a separation. It is about power and control, and of course, it's an uphill battle with our judges. I will say, the last thing I will say is that Sanctuary has a very robust legal department, but there are also a variety of other legal service providers. And within that, if you know anyone who ever wants to do pro bono work, Sanctuary has a robust pro bono department. And then the last thing I will say is that at the core of this, I think, and I'm by no means the expert in the room, there are a lot of other experts here first, but the courts have infrastructure that should work in theory, and they need a lot of education and training to catch up. And I think that's something that's so beautiful about being here tonight and having these experiences, is that this is a space where, without the courts being told what they're doing wrong, a hypothetical judge or someone like me, a social work student, can sit in here and be so moved and be so changed by witnessing dance and community and a group of strangers coming together to try and understand something bigger that a variety of us have probably been impacted by. So I'll stop there, but we can talk after.
Well, thank you so much. And I have a closing question for our panel. For each of you, what is one piece of guidance you would offer to help people better understand how to support a loved one experiencing domestic violence? And what does it look like to create a space where that person truly feels safe to share? It's a complex double question.
I've learned along my journey as an advocate that experience is the best teacher. And I say that because through my experience of being a former domestic violence victim, I've gotten close to a lot of people who were in a domestic violence situation, so I was able to open up and say, you know what, Miss Raquel, I understand what you're talking about because that used to be me, so I was able to bring a lot of people in by just sharing my experience of being that person, like, I understand, or I empathize, or, it's gonna get better, but how can you possibly tell me it's gonna get better? I know because I used to be where you were 10 years ago. Are you serious? So yes, there is hope, so sometimes when you just share some of the things that you've gone through, or share the resources, it brings life to a person that may be on their way to take their own life. And I don't say that shortly of what I'm trying to say, is because people might hold on to what they can hold on to just by knowing that you've gone through it and there is hope that they can look up to. That's it.
That was really well said. I think finding some kind of order in those chaotic moments was important for me. And I think we talked about it before, just finding out resources that are available for survivors or for people who are going through it. It's tremendously helpful because most of the time, people who are going through it don't really have the energy or the time or even the capacity to figure that part out. But I was in the family court for like 9 years with the Sanctuary for Family. I had many pro bono lawyer firms with me, and the legal system is so interesting.
I like it. Well put.
And being as a client who has to being in front of the court is even worse. It's not like really for everyone. So like, I knew I had to go in through 9 years, and it was a very long time. I really just, it was such a difficult process, and like to think about like going back to appeal and like keep appealing. And I just want you to know that they are attorneys that are doing work like that. There are like people who's doing the real work, and I think those are helpful.
Thank you. Michelle, I know that you're go ahead. I know you're bearing witness, for your sister and sharing her story and being an advocate. So you can answer this question in a way that makes sense for you.
Yeah, I think I would like to offer that sometimes the best way to support the people in our lives is to heal our own wounds, and that sometimes the denial and not being able to see what's right in front of you, that can come from our own blind spots, from traumas that happened in our own lives. Our instinct to not believe sometimes comes from things that happened in our own lives, and that there's a lot of power in us taking time to heal, so that when someone does show up, we can wholeheartedly believe them and support them in the way they deserve.
Thank you. And thank you, amazing panelists, all of you, and our dancers in front here. And thank you all for being here tonight.